From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the morning news for October 23rd, 2025. These are the stories we are covering at this hour. Prime Minister Mark Carney set a goal for Canada to double its non-U.S. exports in the next decade, saying American tariffs are causing a chill in investment. Carney, who will release his government's budget on November 4th, said Wednesday many of Canada's former strengths, based on close ties to America, have become vulnerabilities. The jobs of workers in our industries most affected by U.S. tariffs, autos, steel, lumber, are under threat. Our businesses are holding back investments restrained by the pall of uncertainty that is hanging over all of us, Carney said. U.S. President Donald Trump has been threatening Canada's economy and sovereignty with tariffs, most offensively by claiming Canada could become the 51st state. Carney reiterated in an evening address to Canadians that the decades-long process of an ever closer economic relationship between the Canadian and U.S. economies is now over. The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression, Carney said. We have to take care of ourselves because we cannot rely on one foreign partner. Tensions between the neighbors and longtime allies have eased slightly in recent months as Carney tries to get a trade deal with Trump, but tariffs are taking a toll, particularly in the aluminum, steel, auto, and lumber sectors. More than 75% of Canada's exports go to the United States. We are re-engaging with the global giants, India and China, he said. Canada is the top export destination for 36 U.S. states. Nearly $3.6 billion in Canadian money, or $2.7 billion in U.S. funds, worth of goods and services cross the border daily. Canada's free trade deal with the United States is up for review in 2026. In the midst of a federal government shutdown, the U.S. government's gross national debt surpassed $38 trillion Wednesday, a record number that highlights the accelerating accumulation of debt on America's balance sheet. It's also the fastest accumulation of $1 trillion in debt outside of the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. hit $37 trillion in gross national debt in August this year. The $38 trillion update is found in the latest Treasury Department report, which logs the nation's daily finances. Kent Smetters of the University of Pennsylvania's Penn Wharton budget model, who served in President George W. Bush's Treasury Department, told the Associated Press that a growing debt load over time leads ultimately to higher inflation eroding Americans' purchasing power. The Government Accountability Office outlined some of the impacts of rising government debt on Americans, including higher borrowing costs for things like mortgages and cars, lower wages from businesses having less money available to invest, and more expensive goods and services. The U.S. military launched its 8th strike against an alleged drug-carrying vessel, killing 2 people in the waters of the eastern Pacific Ocean, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Wednesday, marking an expansion of the Trump administration's campaign against drug trafficking in South America. The attack Tuesday night was a departure from the 7 previous U.S. strikes that had targeted vessels in the Caribbean. Hegseth said on social media that the latest strike killed 2 people, bringing the death toll to at least 34 from attacks that began last month. The strike represents an expansion of the military's targeting area, as well as a shift to the waters off South America, where much of the cocaine from the world's largest producers is smuggled. Hegseth's post also drew a direct comparison between the war on terrorism that the U.S. declared after the September 11, 2001 attacks and the Trump administration's crackdown. A group of advocates are planning a Harrisburg rally in late October to pressure elected officials to protect rights for LGBTQ+ Pennsylvanians. Organizers say they're holding the October 26th event to demand equal rights and access to gender-affirming health care and to shield same-sex marriage. These steps, they say, are all the more important in a time when protections are being rolled back. The basic rights of LGBTQ+ people are under vicious attack every day across our state and nation, Jason Landau Goodman, board chair of the Pennsylvania Youth Congress, said in a statement. That is why we are coming together to demand action from our government officials. The event planners say it will begin with a march around the Capitol at 1 p.m. October 26th. After that, attendees will rally with speakers to be announced. Organizers say they are coordinating buses and carpool transportation so as many people can participate as possible. They've released a sign-up form so people can opt into updates. And that's the news at this hour. If you are watching our news videos on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.